Have you ever felt weighed down by shame and letting go of your past? As women, we know all too well the power this emotion can hold over our lives. It can keep us stuck, defined by our mistakes, and unable to move forward. But there is hope. Through vulnerability, forgiveness, and embracing God's grace, we can move forward with our lives and finally let go of our past. Recognizing the impact of shame. Shame can have a profound impact on our lives, affecting not only our emotions, but also our relationships, career, and spiritual growth. It can keep us isolated and fearful of vulnerability, preventing us from living a life of authenticity and purpose. Recognizing the impact of shame is the first step in leaving your past behind you and embracing the life that God has planned for us. Discovering the power of vulnerability. As we embark on our journey towards letting go of our past, we may find ourselves hesitant to open up to others about our struggles. Vulnerability can often be seen as weakness, and we may fear that sharing our stories will lead to rejection or judgment. However, it's important to recognize the power of vulnerability in our healing process. We can also gain a better understanding of ourselves and our emotions, allowing us to process our shame in a healthy and productive way. It's important to remember that vulnerability does not mean oversharing or divulging sensitive information to just anyone. Instead, we can share our struggles and emotions with people we trust. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we can create a safe and supportive community that will help us on our journey towards healing. Healing through forgiveness. Forgiveness is a crucial step in the healing process from shame. While it can be difficult to let go of anger and hurt, forgiving those who have wronged us can bring freedom and peace to our hearts. Forgiveness is not easy, but it is necessary for our own well-being. It allows us to release the burden of bitterness and resentment and move forward towards a happier and healthier life. The act of forgiveness is not for the benefit of the person who wronged us, but rather for our own emotional and spiritual growth. In order to forgive, we must first acknowledge and validate the pain that we've experienced. It's not healthy to suppress our emotions or pretend that everything is okay when it is not. We need to allow ourselves time to grieve and process the pain that we've endured. Once we've acknowledged our pain, we can then begin to release it through forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean that we condone the actions of those who have hurt us, nor does it require us to forget what has happened. Rather, forgiveness is a choice to let go of the negative emotions and energy associated with the situation. It is a decision to forgive the person and move forward without carrying the weight of the past with us. By choosing to forgive, we open ourselves up to God's grace and love. We allow Him to work in our hearts and bring healing to the brokenness that we have experienced. Embracing God's grace. Forgiveness is a vital step towards healing from shame. It allows us to let go of the hurt and pain we have been carrying and open ourselves up to the healing power of God's grace. Embracing His grace means recognizing that we are not defined by our past mistakes or the labels that others have put on us. We are loved and accepted just as we are. God's grace is a gift that we can receive freely, but it requires us to let go of our shame and trust Him with our lives. When we accept God's grace, we can begin to live a life without shame. We no longer have to hide behind our past mistakes or our fear of failure. Instead, we can walk boldly into the future, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. We can embrace our true identity as daughters of the King and live out our purpose with confidence and joy. Living a life without shame is not always easy. It requires us to be vulnerable and authentic with ourselves and others. It means letting go of our need for control and trusting in God's plan for our lives. But it is worth it. As we let go of our shame and embrace God's grace, we will discover a newfound freedom and joy that can only come from Him. Living a life without shame. We often carry the weight of shame on our shoulders. We believe that we are not good enough, that our mistakes define us, and that we will never measure up to the expectations placed upon us. But when we accept God's grace, we can break free from shame and live a life of freedom and purpose. Living a life without shame requires openness and vulnerability. It means being honest with ourselves and others about our struggles, weaknesses, and failures. It means letting go of our need for perfection and control and embracing the messiness of life. When we let go of our shame, we can embrace our true identity as daughters of the King and live out our purpose with confidence. We no longer have to hide behind our past mistakes or fear of failure, but can boldly step into the future, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. Living a life without shame is not always easy, but it is worth it. As we choose forgiveness and embrace God's grace, we will find a newfound freedom and joy that can only come from Him. Shame can have a powerful hold on our lives, especially for Christian women who feel the weight of cultural expectations. However, through vulnerability, forgiveness, and embracing God's grace, we can break free and live a life without shame. It takes courage to recognize the impact that shame has had on our lives, but it is possible to heal and find hope. So let us be courageous and vulnerable and embrace the freedom that comes from living without shame. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to subscribe so you can be notified of future videos. Also, please share this video so we can spread the word together. God bless you.